Welcome back to Studio 1, where my guest today is Honorable Charles Sousa, Member of Provincial Parliament, and we are discussing today Canadian politics. Welcome to the show, Charles.
Thank you, Arshad. It's a real pleasure to be here at Studio 1 and to address your audience on the things that matter to all of us.
It is indeed a pleasure for the Studio 1 and for us to have you here, Charles. So let me start with the first question, Charles. As the name also suggests, Sousa, you belong to an immigrant family yourself, though you were born in Canada, but you are from an immigrant family. And you are a socially responsible Canadian citizen and a socially responsible banker as well, by profession,
yes,
who is actually giving back to the community through these services that you are performing in the provincial parliament. Talk to us. What was it that you did right to reach here?
Well, I would say that the influence of my family, certainly when they came to Canada, like many members of all of our communities who are seeking a better life in Canada, he fled, my father, in 1953, a post-war Europe, and it was a fascist regime in Portugal. And he wanted something better, and he came to Canada. He landed at Pier 21 in Halifax, went to work in the camps, and did his best to try to get started in life, and called over my mom in 1954 with my brother through Ellis Island, through New York, and Kingston Market is where he started off. And there he established himself and tried to, his motto was, there's room for everybody. So when you come here to compete and you try to do better, always keep in mind, help the other, because that other person will help even more. And he lived by that philosophy, and he encouraged and assisted many new immigrants to Canada and to Toronto at that time. So much so that the post office and the police services and taxi drivers all assembled at the corner of Bellevue and Nassau, where I grew up, because that's where everyone was received on behalf of my father's restaurant and boarding house. And it had a huge impact on me in terms of being civically responsible, trying to understand the needs of community, as well as trying to do your best as a citizen and to provide for your families and to provide, get a job and do all those things that we need to do. But there was always he always instilled upon me the need to give a little bit back. Although I must admit, he was never really all that supportive of me being in a public eye. He prefers to sort of do things in a way that enables others to succeed without necessarily getting the limelight or any of that. But in order to make an impact, I think you have to be at the decision table, and that was one of the issues that were important to make a difference.
Of course, and you have made a difference. We will talk about some of the initiative that you have taken in the past and currently underway as well, some of the very important decisions. And I call you a banker with a heart initially when we started, because the payday loan legislation, you were a key member. I think you initiated that payday loan legislation reform and got it approved, and talk to us about it.
Well, Arshad, before I even go there, my influence within the bank, and I've been in the bank over 22 years now, and it was there that I had an individual, quite a mentor. He was the president of the commercial sector of the bank. And this individual, not only was he influential in terms of doing successful initiatives, strategic initiatives within the bank, but he instilled a sense of concern for outside issues, Aboriginal issues, children's issues, women's issues, to the point where he was actually enshrined as an honorary woman and an Aboriginal chief. And here's a man who's an Irish Canadian out of Woodstock, New Brunswick. He quite effectively instilled upon me the initiatives to run and to be more engaged politically. I was engaged in government affairs within the bank at the time, during merger talks and so forth. As a result of that, one of the things that came to fruition when I joined the government was regulating the excessive interest rates that people were paying on payday loans.
In the tunes of like
800% on an annualized basis.
Wow.
Now, as you know, from your past, from your other life, there is rules that are governed by the Regulatory Act for banks especially and financial institutions.
Of course.
Not payday loans, that fell under a provincial legislation. So it allowed me the opportunity to sort of correct some of those initiatives. It was a government bill. I was a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Government Affairs at the time, together we were initiating this stuff, but I ushered it through and did most of the what had to be done, to the point where we successfully reduced it, got full unanimous support from the House, and enabled those most vulnerable to be protected from predatory and excessive rates. Even the industry welcomed the opportunity to get rid of the bad apples so that we could have, everyone plays a part. We all recognize that. If I may, during that time, I recognized that there was a need for education around financial literacy. I came across many people who didn't have an understanding of exactly what it is they were paying. And it's a vicious cycle. Those most vulnerable, those that can least afford it, were paying too much.
Yeah.
And were paying too much. So financial literacy was a financial bill that I put forward as well. It too received unanimous support from the House. It was immediately passed without any dispute, and it's being introduced in all the schools this September. So I was very proud of the initiative.
That's a great achievement, and actually it makes us proud that you're sitting here today talking to us and telling our viewers and our audience about it, and people who did not realize what a great achievement that was at that time would now understand 800% interest and charges and all that. I mean, that is a hell of a feat. Now, I heard you say when we started talking today, you started with saying that though your father was not of the opinion that you should go too much into the public life and limelight and all that, and you should stay behind, like the old traditional way of doing things, like do good things. But I also heard you say that if you are not in the position where you can make a difference, you cannot make a difference. So now, today you are in the position where you can make a difference, and Ministry of Labour of the province of Ontario is your responsibility. So let me go to a question regarding the Ministry of Labour and a topic that will probably be within your jurisdiction as well to a certain extent, though it doesn't directly deal with your ministry. And we hear so many times from foreign trained or foreign professionals who come and immigrate to Canada on the basis of their medical professional degree or their engineering degree or things of that sort, right? And when they come in, they say a funny thing about Toronto, that if you are going to have a heart attack, you should have that in a taxi cab in Toronto, because in all probability it's a doctor from Pakistan who's driving it. Now, that's an anecdote, that's a joke, but there is some reality in it as well. So talk to me, tell me how you see the situation, and is there any word of advice you want to give to these people before they immigrate? They should plan, do what?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things here. One of the other bills that I ushered through was called Open for Business, Open for Ontario Plan. And it was part of our throne speech to try to enable us to have accreditation for those services and professionals that come to Canada and come to Ontario specifically. And certain aspects we were able to amend and to correct, engineers being one. More has to be done, Arshad. Before I joined government, I was quite involved with organizations called Career Edge and Career Bridge, where we tried to provide those foreign Canadians, new Canadians who come to Canada with credentials and didn't have those opportunities, and they needed Canadian experience.
Of course.
So we provided some of that through those programs. And it's been an issue for our colleges and universities ministry, as well as Minister of Citizenship here in Ontario, who recognize that, especially for doctors and so forth, they come, the colleges recognize there is some expertise, but they don't provide the accreditation, and it's very unfortunate that I hear stories like you've just told.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna have to go to a short break here. Hold your thoughts, because we've got some more to talk about this particular subject. I want you to talk to our audience and tell them about the bridge program, the mentorship program that the province is offering to enable them to adjust into the labor force here in Canada once they're here. Please don't go anywhere. Keep watching Studio 1. We'll be right back after a short break.